Hey, good morning, Drive Time. Welcome back. As always, I'm David Drum, and today I am joined by Drive Time alumni. Probably one of our most repeated guests, and for good reason, is Art VanZanten. Art, welcome back.
Thank you. It's great to be here again.
So good news for everybody watching. Art informed me it's buy four get one free, so you guys don't have to pay for this one. So what we're going to do today with Art is something that we've done with a lot of the staff members at Cape Christian. One, it helps us to get to know each of these guys a little bit better. But the other is there's so much stinking wisdom on our staff, and I just want to make sure that we're all benefiting from it. So we're going to do potentially 5 questions with Art. Only Corey has made it through all 5, but that was more of a personal challenge for him than anything else. But we're going to get started. So Art, first question, what is your favorite movie and why?
Well, first of all, I have to go back to what you referred to a minute ago, that there's a lot of stinking wisdom from our staff. So I'm glad you got wisdom, but today it'll be stinking. But let's go to the movies. So I'm not a movie guy. But I just heard this phrase this week. I am a bouquet of contradictions. So let me share some of my contradictions. I have said that I don't like to watch a movie because it's too long, but I have no problem watching 2 to 3 football games end to end with only bathroom breaks. So I do believe that may be a contradiction. It just is the fact that I just like football more than movies. However, if I do watch a movie, I like something ridiculous, slapstick, stupid. I like to laugh. So my favorite movies of all time, and I'm going to date myself with this, Three Amigos and What About Bob? Okay. Those would be my 2 favorites. So yeah, because they're just ridiculous. And What About Bob in particular, because he deals with neurotic people and it just is therapeutic for me. And Three Amigos, because it's just stupid.
I'm a big fan of Three Amigos. I haven't seen that movie in a long time because I'm on the same page. I'm a big fan of stupid comedy. Yes. So I can relate. It's a good mental break. And totally. I feel like it when you use one of those movie references, you instantly know who your friends are, because if they get that joke, like, instantly, we can be friends.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I want to go into Three Amigos stuff right now, but I think we could do better. So
fair enough. All right. So next question. What are your disciplines, whether they be spiritual, physical, personal? What are your disciplines?
Wow. Well, one discipline that I developed several years ago was, and this is like so many things in the New Testament, these are my disciplines. So not your burden. These are I think that matters. So one of my disciplines is I don't hit the snooze bar. I used to do these mental gymnastics the night before of when do I want to get up, but when do I really need to get up, and how many and that just was frankly exhausting. So I should probably back up. One of my earlier disciplines is trying to go to bed earlier. I hate that. As a grown man, I want to go to bed when I want to go, but I pay the price the next day and then wake up almost every day thinking, how soon can I get back to bed? And then don't do it, repeat. So a daily discipline that I do is go to bed at a reasonable time, then don't set a snooze bar. And when the alarm goes, I get up. So that to me is a really important one and has yielded good results. Another discipline that I have is I do read the word most every day. And one thing that's cool that's evolved in my life is I read it because I want to. That's not how it always was. And I think, discipline being a root word of disciple, you do it because you should and because you want to. And if you don't want to, you still do it. And then another discipline I do is I do a little bit of purgatory in the form of a treadmill. And so I do that on the daily and go absolutely nowhere, but the numbers on the screen say I'm doing something. So those are just really my primary daily disciplines.
Okay. And I like that point that you made, that, these are your disciplines. This is how you get through your day, your week, your month. And while somebody can glean some ideas for their own disciplines, it's not necessarily a copy and paste when we talk about disciplines.
Right. And I think it's also important to make these commitments that are non-negotiables. Like for the snooze bar, for the longest time, maybe I will, but they're non-negotiables. I do these things, and it's not by the law. It's not legalistic. If I fail one day or don't do them, it's not a big deal. But really, I don't daily struggle with whether I'm going to or whether I'm not. I do those things daily.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Third question. How do you reconcile humility and confidence with pride and arrogance?
It really comes down to where the credit goes. If it's humility and confidence, it's recognizing that without the Lord, I can't do it. There's a false humility, which is quite prevalent in the church, and I've done my part to make it prevalent in the church of, oh, I could do nothing. I could do nothing, seriously, without, no. And then, I fished, literally fished for compliments, and it's gross. And so how do I reconcile? It's who gets the credit, but also, am I truly willing to give the credit where the credit's due? And also, and this is one of the many things I love about Pastor Corey, is that he will routinely say, we do better together than anybody can ever do alone. And that really is the culture of our church. And I'm grateful for that. And it truly is real. So pride and arrogance, it's so subtle. I mean, Satan himself, was an angel, and pride and arrogance led to obviously a horrific downfall. So I think one of the biggest hangups is talent, and thinking that our talent, number one, is ours, and number two, not recognizing that our talent is not to bring attention to ourselves, but always, always, always to point to Jesus. So if I ever get anything right, or one of my favorite sayings, if a blind squirrel actually finds a nut, it's the Lord that helped this blind squirrel find any nut I might find.
It's interesting. That pride, as it seeps in, is subtle. We see it sometimes, and the people reek of it, but they didn't start there. It started subtly, and the idea of your talent being your own, and for your purpose and your own creation. I think that it's easy to stumble into that, right?
It is. And it's insidious, I think, is a good word. It's just super subtle, like you said, and it's insidious. And when we start believing our own press, I had a leader once say, the hardest press to believe is not even the negative press, it's the good press. Because you start believing that you're doing some stuff that, no. So yeah, subtle, insidious.
Well, that's good. All right. So with those disciplines in mind, and this idea of humility, contrasting, pride and arrogance, what is something that you personally are trying to get better at right now?
Oh man, this is so vulnerable. I want to give just like a safe answer here, but truly, being quiet, listening. Years ago, I said, and I've heard lots of other people say this, I'm just not good at remembering names. Again, Pastor Corey is freakishly good at this, but I'm just not good at remembering names. And I was in a conversation with someone, and 30 seconds in, I had forgotten their name. I was like, there I go again. I'm not good at remembering names. And the Holy Spirit very quietly, but clearly said, because you didn't listen. You didn't even care to know their name. And I was like, holy cow, that's absolutely true. To be a better listener, to engage with people about what interests them. And you get the best out of people when you ask them what interests them. And, even if it's, my son, for instance, 12 years old, he's crazy about cars. I don't give a rip about cars, but I think he's awesome. So now I know the difference between a Ferrari and a Lambo and all these things, and routinely get it wrong. But even when I get it wrong, I have an opportunity to learn from a 12-year-old. And that's something I'm trying to develop. And it really fits with the previous question. It's a pride killer, because I just hate not knowing even how to fudge my way through something like a Lambo or a Ferrari. So yeah, listening and being quiet. That's a discipline I'm trying to develop. And as we look at, church leaders and people that really have impacted the world, shutting up and listening is really an important discipline.
That's good. That's good.
It's hard. I hate it. I wish I answered differently.
Yeah. And I feel like there's, that there's a root that can go through so many areas of our life, beyond remembering a name. Cause I do think some people just have a knack for remembering that quickly. But at the same time, whether it's you forgot their name or you're just waiting for your turn to talk because you have
Yes.
something that you want to
Yeah.
add or something that you want to, a rebuttal, or, well, let me tell you why I'm right and you're not.
Yes.
There's a lot to be said for just like you said, shutting up and not being on the edge of your seat waiting to respond, right?
Yes, and going with what you said, to allow a conversation to go where the person you're communicating with took it. So to take their comment and go from there, as opposed to, like you said, rebutting and really honestly taking the lead in the dance. In conversations, I try to, not effectively all the time, but I try to allow the other person to take the lead in the dance, to use that metaphor. And I stink at that. And I want to get better at that. So to answer your question, that's something I'm trying to work on.
Okay, good. All right. Question number 5. I asked this question, and each time I've asked it, I know the answer. I know what you're going to say, but it's really more about the why that I want to make sure that guys don't miss. So the question is, if you could go back and change the process or outcome of the most challenging times of your life, would you? Why or why not?
Well, I guess the short answer is no. I mean, God's word says that all things work together for good. And, been through some stuff. Everybody's been through stuff. And as I've gone through the capital S stuff, all things work together for good. But what the Lord clearly showed me, we were going through specifically several open heart surgeries with that son I just talked about a moment ago. The Lord said, yeah, that's all things work together for good from my perspective, not yours. And I can still remember a time we were at the Children's Hospital in Boston going through all that, looking out the window from the 8th floor and seeing people going to Starbucks. And I was so irritated that people are going in there ordering coffee when I'm going through hell. It just seemed so unjust. And now there's days that I walk into Starbucks and go, wow, there's somebody on the 8th floor there right now. And I'm going into Starbucks right now, feeling almost guilty about it. But the reality is that in those times, we grow in the hard time. You think about the gym. And I've read about the gym, so that's about all I know about the gym. But I mean, we grow through resistance. You grow through resistance. You don't grow from even being in the gym. You grow from resistance. So I'm grateful for those seasons, but I try to get the heck out of them as quick as I can as well. So, would I change it? No. I trust God, his sovereignty, his goodness. I believe that we're all in the hands of a sovereign God, and he allows stuff to come through his fingers that we can handle with him. There's a misnomer out there that says God will never give us anything that we can't handle. I say absolute garbage to that. God will give us nothing that we can't handle with him, but I daily have stuff I can't handle without him.
Right. And I believe that as well. I think that's one of the most pervasive lies of Christianity sometimes is if God's never going to give me anything I can't handle, why would I ever crawl to the cross, gripping the dirt with my fingernails as I just barely get the energy to get to the cross? What purpose would I have to ever surrender fully to him if I got it all on my own anyways?
That's right.
So, but you made a specific statement that I want to go back to. One, because I want to make sure that we don't miss it. But the other is, I'm curious if you can expand on the thought. Is you said, God makes, all things are used for good for those who love him, but that's from his perspective, not our perspectives. So if you would, can you expand on that a little bit more or go a little bit deeper?
I guess I don't want to use an offensive term, but I think the American gospel is usually very us-centered. Mm-hmm. Jesus came in on his white horse, saved us. We accept him. We get blessings. We're king's kids. Everything lives happily ever after. And it's kind of like God plus Disney is our life. And that's just not even real. And then people really, really get in a tither when, their kid is sick or they end up sick or they get divorced or whatever. God doesn't God the way he was supposed to God. Yes, I definitely just use God as a verb. So when God doesn't play by the rules, it messes us up. But the fact is all things work together for good and our lives are his for his purpose. And I find it, I'm calling myself out, I find myself delusional that God sent his son to die. Yet I think that I'm going to have a charmed life where I never have red numbers in my checking account. That's just not realistic. And that gospel just doesn't play well in real life. it's kind of like what you said. If we realize the desperation of who we are without him, we come to that cross desperate, not come to that cross looking for a handout. And I think a lot of people have come to church looking for blessings. And when the blessings run out, they're out. So,
right.
Yeah, that's my best.
The cosmic vending machine. I showed up at church.
100%. That's great.
So, okay. Well, you know what that means? That means Corey's got competition.
Let's go.
As we get through all 5 of the questions. But I'm going to throw the last one at you, which is, since it is drive time and the whole point and purpose behind it is that we, have a tangible thing that we can grow in each week. So outside of recommending everybody to watch Three Amigos, what is the thing of the other 4 questions? What would be your recommendation? What's the thing that we can do this week to grow, to get a little bit better as a husband, as a father, as a son of God, whatever the case is?
The 2 questions that have absolutely revolutionized my life is regularly asking God, what's the truth about me? What's the truth about you? And I would just say at the next red light, take a moment and go, Lord, what's true about me? And then just stop and listen. Lord, what's true about you? I want to spend so much time telling the Lord the truth about other people or about that idiot in front of me who doesn't know how to use his turn signal. And Lord, what's true about me? What's true about you? Those 2 questions will change your life. Those would be the 2. That doesn't really fit with our conversation, but those are 2 game changers for me.
Gotcha. All right. Well, Art, thank you so much for spending some time with us and giving us a part of your day, and definitely a bunch of your stinking wisdom.
Nice. Thank you. It's my pleasure to be with you.
Guys, I'll see you again next week here on Drive Time.